Living Daylights. The 15th Eon Bond film, and we have a new Bond.
We do, yeah. I was always to talk about it. Timothy Dalton.
We will return for our review of License to Kill.
Who are you?
Bond, James Bond.
He was a hero who murdered in cold blood. Bam, 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 bam.
For seriousness, he and Daniel Craig are the the teachers you didn't want to have for Latin.
Why didn't you learn the violin?
Bam, 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 bam.
Dalton was basically offered the role for On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which sounds absolutely mad. That seems like a lifetime ago now.
Yes.
And Chubby Broccoli liked him, but basically Dalton said, no, I'm too young to do it, and stepped away. And so Moore's gone, they had a bit of a, you know, who do we cast in this? They screen tested Sam Neill.
My friends call me Bond. James Bond.
So Sam Neill didn't get it, and then they screen tested Pierce Brosnan, and it looked like he was actually going to get it. He was all set to get it, and then I think Remington Steele was renewed, contractually obliged to go and do that, so he couldn't get it. Went back to Dalton again.
Bam, 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 bam.
Whenever you get a new actor, it feels like a freshness.
Yes.
It feels like, you know, a rebirth.
Dalton is very serious. Very Welsh.
Very Welsh.
He didn't play it as a Welshman. He didn't say the name's Bond. Jones the Bond. 007.
Not only is there a freshness with this, there's a pretty radical shift in tone.
In the back, get in the jeep. Quickly!
And the thing that, watching it this time, disappointed me a little was there's still some lingering comedy and more like touches from the Moore films.
It is a film series that is sort of stuck in a few bad habits. I quite like this. I think this is a bit of a middling Bond for me, but it's...
Yes. It's a good movie.
Yeah, it's alright.
We're free.
Carter, we're inside a Russian airbase in the middle of Afghanistan.
So we did the drinking game. I won't explain the rules, but the rules will be down below. It's what you expect from a James Bond drinking game, and this was a huge one.
This was a biggie. 143 drinks. Yeah, we're feeling it today.
Yeah. This film is very constant throughout, because the big one, the 2-1 is some explosions at the end get you. The big one is saying the word Bond, because they want to say, this man is Bond now. That's 007, 007, Bond, Bond, he's James Bond.
Yep.
James Bond.
Later, General.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah. Well, you're always exhausted. Exhausting.
That was damn stupid!
I think he's great in the serious scenes. I think this film, probably more than almost any other one, feels like a spy movie.
Certainly the first 2/3, you know, it feels like you're really behind the Iron Curtain for the first time.
Yeah, Dalton helps that as well. There's sort of a seriousness that he brings to in all the scenes.
Yeah.
You know, when he's trapped, when he's in a theatre, every scene he's got these sort of piercing blue eyes, and he looks fucking furious.
He looks livid. He hates his job.
One thing I don't think he does pull off well is the comedy.
You picked up the police band.
There must be an atmospheric anomaly. Salt corrosion. Amazing, this modern safety glass.
But if he has a weakness, it's the comic side of the character.
To me, he looked a little mousy.
Last thing I would describe him as mousy. I think that's an astonishing thing for you to say.
Well, I did it. I called James Bond a mouse, and I live to say it.
Bam, 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 bam.
Well, I think when they were writing it, it was before Dalton was cast. They knew Moore had gone, but they didn't know who was going to be replacing him. So they were writing it, and they weren't quite sure, I think, of the direction that the new actor was going to take the character. So they said that they were doing it, trying to sort of encompass lots of different elements
Yes.
Of how actors might play it. So it's a little bit of a buffet, which comes through in the script. You know, there's a seriousness to it, but there are odd bits of humour.
I'm so glad
the downhill cello race.
Yeah, I'm so glad they cut out the magic carpet ride bit.
Is that genuine?
Genuine. Another thing that he doesn't quite pull off is, and it's not his fault again, is of course this is the AIDS James Bond.
Yes, very true.
It's the...
He isn't shagging his way around the world.
Because...
I suppose that the movies have to move with the times and reflect what's happening in the real world to a degree.
To a degree. And I'm glad, because I don't think he would have... Because he seems so serious. He doesn't look like a man who's like, I need some sex tonight. He looks like a man who wants to get the job done, not get his end off.
Yes.
Like all the other ones, it's like, I have time for a shag. You know, and he look... I don't believe when he escapes Gibraltar and lands on a boat.
Yeah.
He's like, he'd be, I've got to get back to the office.
Yeah.
What's that supposed to mean?
Fuck end of horse.
Calling me a horse's arse.
The story of the Living Daylights. It starts in Gibraltar, and they're a training exercise for the 00s, and it's meant to be, you know, paintball guns, and it's
pretend war.
Pretend war, but a spy is in there. Well, of course, there's a spy in there. Someone slips in and starts actually murdering them, leaving a note saying,
"Death to spies."
Death to spies. They hear that there's a Russian agent or general who wants to go over to the west. Defect. So Bond helps him, but as the man's leaving, a woman with a sniper rifle looks like she's going to kill him. She doesn't look very professional, so Bond misses on purpose. The man who defects is then kidnapped back, seemingly, by the Russians. So Bond goes to check on the cello girl to follow, you know, see what's happened.
Posing as the Russian general's friend.
Mm-hmm. The Russian general who was kidnapped, it says the person who's probably behind this death to spies thing is Gimli, and James Bond is tasked with assassinating him, but then finds out it's all some actual plot to sell diamonds for heroin to a arms dealer.
Yeah. An American
arms dealer, waxwork enthusiast.
Yes.
And
model soldier collector.
And Bond saves the day. So it's a bit more complex than
it's
some of the
fucking convoluted. It's
yes.
what you're trying to say.
Friends of the producers there, I think.
Silvio Berlusconi.
Miriam de Arbo.
She was a cast because she was screen testing with the actors testing for Bond, and they decided.
And they were lazy, so you'll do
like a Harrison Ford style story.
Yes, and she's fine. She's a little bit damsel in distress. I mean, she is a cello player. It's not like she's going to be killing people. But there is a sort of a point in the film where she's just there a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And I think they could have given her a bit more to do. She also seems to be one of these actresses who seems very enthusiastic about having been in a Bond film and does a lot of documentaries about it. Seems like a nice person. Not that matters.
Name is Darbo. Marianne Darbo. And I belong to an exclusive club, known to the world as Bond Girls.
It's an odd neither here nor there character.
I think they could have given her a bit more. Also because in this one he's falling in love with her.
Yeah.
So you sort of feel, why?
Precisely, yeah.
Strange night out. If only ghost trains were that good. Take me on the ghost train.
Joe Don Baker, who gives the performance that Joe Don Baker gives in the things that he's in.
The worst bit in the movie is his reveal.
General Pushkin.
Almost every James Bond has their Red Grant equivalent, you know, the Aryan super soldier James Bond equivalent.
Yeah.
And here we have Necros.
Necros.
Played by the ballerina who has small feet in Die Hard.
He's a very striking looking man.
Yeah, he was a ballerina, so he knows how to move.
He does.
Art Malik plays a member of the Mujahideen.
Yeah.
And it's funny because he's a hero here and pretty much playing the same character 10 years later he's the villain. How times change.
You're fired.
The Mujahideen, who the very next year are also the heroes in Rambo 3.
Yeah.
I think it was even dedicated to them.
Was it?
I think it was dedicated to them and then they changed it to the proud people of Afghanistan or something.
Okay.
But that's about it about Art Malik. God, I'm going to have another beer.
Yeah, can you get me one? I think this is a point we have raised in other John Glenn movies in this series of discussions about Bond, James Bond, is that there's some precise editing.
John Barry's score, I think, is one of his best. No, that's a lie.
In terms of the score, the first sort of half an hour last night, I remember saying to you that I really love this score. It's brilliant, it's sort of understated, but it's intriguing. You feel it really sort of ramps up the tension. It's this brilliant, you know, ear-catching score. And then, to be honest, I totally lost it in the second half of the movie.
Well, we were drunk.
And it, you know, I don't know. Is this the case that as the movie drops off, you know, we just settle into using the usual, you know, Bond theme?
Main theme sung by Aha!
Well, it feels very much like a continuation of the same philosophy which saw Duran Duran do the theme tune for
View to a Kill.
View to a Kill. You know, it's current. It's, I guess, an attempt from the filmmakers to try and, you know, feel contemporary, kind of keep up with the times. You can't keep going back to Shirley Bassey. I'm sure she'd do it.
I'll give you some more. Mwah.
Well, that's coming on really nicely. Okay, carry on. What were you saying? The millennium is a very important time for you.
It's a very important time for me. Capricorn, I think.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Capricorn.
Yes. Okay. What are you?
Scorpion.
Oh, you mad thing! I'm fed up with this.
It starts in Gibraltar, which I think is a cool location to start in. And we start off with a big action scene. And one of the Timothy Dalton's strengths is he looks like he's there. He did hold on top of a roof as they drove. He looks physical. And that's great after you've had Roger Moore in The View to a Kill, where those stuntmen in ginger wigs. And now we've got a guy who looks like he could be doing everything.
Yeah, I mean, there was never, even in Roger Moore's most physical moments, there was never a massive degree of physicality.
No.
And Dalton, fucking fly. Dalton now is a younger, fitter man, and you know, the film is...
Gibraltar. Have you been to Gibraltar?
Never been to Gibraltar.
It's a weird fucking place, because it's like, you're in Spain, then you cross this bridge and all of a sudden there's like English shops everywhere, and sort of drunk Englishmen in pubs.
You go to Spain to get away from that.
It's weird, and I went into a pub, I think called the Trafalgar Square, and there was just the bartender cleaning a glass, and a regular drunk just at the table. And I sat down and there were just sparrows flying in and out eating leftover fish and chips. And then without any irony, the man sitting at the bar went, "It's all going on, isn't it?" Yeah, I mean, it's a weird place. And then you go to the top of the mount, the peak or whatever it's called.
The rock.
Top of the rock. And it's monkeys everywhere. And bastard monkeys. Like real aggressive, like horrible thing. I watched a big monkey chase a little monkey, and the little one literally used a tourist's head as one of its jumping spots, and then the huge one did the same. And it was a fucking huge monkey balancing on a woman's head. She was screaming. It's excellent. The John Glenn special, a cat, a pigeon, a monkey,
a parrot.
Yeah. Whoa! Whoa! Oh! Zoos must terrify him.
He's caught out by animals alarmingly frequently, isn't he, Bond?
Yep. I like the stuff in Bratislava.
Yeah.
Probably all filmed in Vienna. But all the stuff on the trams and in Concerto, it all feels classy.
It feels classy, and that you said it feels like an espionage movie for the first time in a long time. It's no longer a sort of silly globe-trotting romp. It feels like, yeah, we're behind the Iron Curtain, it's the work of spies. It's more like a John le Carré story at that point.
Yeah.
And that's to its credit. It's great, it's interesting, it feels nice, vibrant, fresh, and it feels like we're really thrown into the middle of the Cold War.
Mm-hmm. And then they also go to Vienna, and they go on the Ferris wheel from The Third Man, one of my favourite movies. And
What's wrong? Why do we stop?
I arranged it.
Could be here all night.
Poor people in the other one. The people who've just gone there.
Yeah. Oh.
What?
Stuck 9 feet off the ground.
That Welshman's having sex with that celloist. And then they go to Morocco. I think they utilise Tangier well, a location they go back to, and Spectre. And then, of course, they can also, with Morocco, because Morocco doubles for any Middle Eastern country in every movie. Every movie. Who Framed Roger Rabbit, it doubles for Afghanistan. But yeah, it doubles for Afghanistan, and the desert scenes are really cool. You can see you're in the desert, and I think the locations in this film are done really well.
Yeah.
Time to leave.
Yeah, so the car it's a Vantage, a V8 Vantage. I think this is my favourite. I've never driven a fucking Aston Martin. I'm not likely to.
I've never driven either.
I'm going purely on the looks. I think this is my favourite of them all. There's something about this. It's such a, it's got a ballsier look. It looks, there's an elegance to the DB5, but this looks like a ballsier, almost like a DB5 fucked an American muscle car.
Ooh.
And this is the result. This is the progeny here, the V8.
Something from Titan.
Yes. Oh, I tell you, absolutely. Bond goes back to Bratislava and he's posing as Georgy Jerkov's friend, and he's there undercover. He's behind the Iron Curtain. He's there trying to be inconspicuous, and he pitches up in this fucking priceless right-hand drive Aston Martin with a big GB sticker on the rear. It's the most conspicuous car that you could put. I mean, he may as well turn up in a Thunderbird 2.
Yes.
They're looking for a foreign car. A man and a woman.
And a cello.
Necros as the murderous milkman.
Yes.
I like that sequence with his explosive milk bottles.
I think that's a nice touch. You and I differ on the effectiveness of the fight scene with the elderly butler who happens across him in the kitchen.
Yeah.
This is like something out of The Naked Gun.
Let go of that fellow.
I like it because it shows that there's other capable men.
I like that. The fight itself, though, is pure hot shots.
The big action sequence in the deserts of Afghanistan, I think, is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Attack on a Soviet base, Bond dressed up as a Mujahideen fighter, all building to one hell of a fight out the back end of a plane.
It is. The only one minor criticism I'll make is it ends with and Attack on a Base, which is very much the go-to for the Bond series.
The fight out the back of the plane,
superb,
is great, and it's so dangerous. Those two stuntmen holding on, and when the bags the rip opens and all the bags flee, and the guy nearly whacks his head, you know, on the rampway. It's a great fight, and you can tell it's two people up there. It's not Tom Holland leaping from box to box on a green screen in Uncharted. It's really great stunt work. Also going from an attack on a base to a fight on the back of a plane. They nearly hit a cliff, they run out of petrol. It's almost like Indiana Jones. I think it's a very exciting sequence. Then it's a bit of a problem that they still got the main villain to deal with. So there's a second climax, which
doesn't happen often. What? New Bond, a new take on the character, a script which is incorporating real-world elements. This isn't a Bond shagging around as well. More of a monogamous side to Bond. Perhaps a bit of maturity, but also a series which can't shake off some of the silly habits.
Yeah.
And in the end, what I think you get is a decent Bond, a decent film here. So what do you think? Because for years you've told me about how Dalton is your favourite Bond actor, and about how much you rate The Living Daylights. How has your opinion changed? If it's changed at all?
The Living Daylights has dropped from something I thought would be in my top 5, 6 Bond films to around the middle somewhere. It's a good film, I still like it. Dalton I still think is great. Dalton brings an element of taking it serious, which I think is refreshing, especially after Moore. And I think Dalton is one of the best actors to play Bond. Okay, great, done.
Sorry. Yep. Sorry, we're very tired.
I'm so tired.
It's hard to do these.
I quite like the film, but I almost feel like almost wanting to never do it again.
They're getting so tough these days. There's so many drinks.